The News 4 Rundown starts now.
Welcome in, everyone. I'm Jim Adley, and here's what's coming up tonight on the Rundown. President Trump's plans to fence off a part of the White House park out front gains a step forward to reality today. Why the president wants to corner off the popular gathering spot for protesters and the fight that's underway. Plus, Arlington County's prosecutor grilled up on Capitol Hill behind closed doors at issue policies that congressional Republicans say contradict the direction of the current White House. And we're diving into a new drug that can further lower cholesterol levels than drugs already on the market. What this means for patients and broader heart disease prevention. But first, let's get to our weather alert day because it's feeling like 100 degrees out there, folks. But the bigger story we're tracking in the next 24 hours, the hazy, unhealthy skies coming our way. Smoke from wildfires in Canada is impacting our quality in northern and midwestern states. It's an issue we're already seeing here in our region, but will be more noticeable tomorrow. And that means sensitive groups, young children and seniors should limit their exposure outdoors tomorrow.
You don't have to be outside very long to notice it. And I think, as you mentioned, with the increasing sort of levels of air quality, being worse, from orange to red to the higher colors like purple. The point is at the very high levels, even people without other conditions, underlying conditions, are going to notice it and be at risk.
Let's bring in Storm Team 4 Chief Meteorologist Doug Kammerer with the latest on our weather alert today and what's to come tomorrow, Doug.
Yeah, Jim, I mean, it's going to be pretty thick out there. We may even be able to smell it tomorrow. They were able to do so in parts of Pennsylvania during the day today and in parts of the Northeast. And that smoke is actually increasing as we make our way through the night tonight. Out there today, says 97. We actually hit 98 degrees today outside with a heat index that got up to 108 at one point. 94 Hagerstown, 93 Richmond, 91 in Ocean City. This is still currently at 7 o'clock. The heat index right now 103 D.C., 103 Richmond. Yeah, so the heat still on. Notice to the north, much cooler numbers here. Why? Well, that's where the wildfire smoke is actually keeping the temperatures down to the north, and they'll continue to do so. Now, we're tracking a boundary that's working its way down. Could kick off a shower or storm in towards portions of northern Maryland, but I'm not expecting much, and we aren't seeing that. But what that boundary is going to do is it shifts on down to the south is bring in that wildfire smoke that right now is over Pennsylvania and moving into our way. Now, tomorrow's all about the smoke. On Saturday, it's about the severe storms. As we take you through the afternoon, look at this. A line of severe weather comes through, but that's not the only line of severe storms that we see. I'm going to take you hour by hour for Saturday. We got a lot to talk about today. It's the heat, of course, that we make our way through as we move on through the night tonight, but smoke moves in overnight as well. Air quality getting worse tomorrow. Most of the area under a code red alert, but there's some of us that are actually in a code purple, and that's a lot worse for unhealthy conditions out there. Some storms later on Saturday, and as I mentioned, some of those could be severe. And then less humid and more dry conditions on Sunday. Most of us stay on the dry side. I'll show you who has the best chance to see some storminess on Sunday as well. But it does look like things get a lot better after today's heat, tomorrow's smoke, and then Saturday's storms. I'll have much more on all of it, Jim. We'll meet you back here in just a few minutes.
All right, we're going to hibernate tomorrow. Doug, thanks so much. We'll see you then. The Trump administration's plan to install a permanent fence around Lafayette Square appears to be moving closer to reality. The park just outside the White House has been a gathering spot for protesters for more than a century now. The proposal follows the shooting outside the White House Correspondents' Dinner and multiple assassination attempts against President Trump. Today, a Trump-appointed review panel backed the fence with a few design changes. But as News 4's Amy Cho reports, officials still won't say how much it will cost or who will pay for it.
Right now, you have kind of a hodgepodge of different types of fences here outside the White House. Now, the Trump administration and Secret Service say they feel this current setup is not secure enough and also doesn't look great. They also say they're worried these bricks here could come loose and protesters could pick them up and throw them. This is what the new permanent fence would look like, according to plans from the White House, Secret Service, and National Park Service. The fence would be 8 feet tall and could be open or closed, depending on the security situation. There are also plans to redo the walkways with sturdier material.
The proposal is not to close the park, but to enclose the park. It's still open, as these renderings clearly show.
Today, as the Trump-nominated U.S. Commission of Fine Arts met to review the plan, they stressed the importance of keeping the park open for peaceful demonstrations, but also expressed concern over violent protests.
And a required result of that requires activity like this.
We asked folks outside the White House what they think of a permanent fence.
Anything to keep Trump safer, I'm all for.
Understandably, it might be a necessity, but it's obviously the people's house, and it would be nice to have an unobstructed view of it, to enjoy it.
One man told us he comes during his lunch break to protest ICE and President Trump, and he plans to keep doing so, regardless of the fence situation.
He can do whatever he wants at this point, and that's why I refuse to stay silent.
What's still unclear, how much the permanent fence would cost taxpayers. We tried asking the Fine Arts Review panel.
Just wanted to ask how much of a consideration cost is here as you guys make your decision.
This is not a press conference. This is a meeting of the commission. So if you submit your questions, be happy to, in writing, and be happy to address them.
But do you know how much this will cost approximately?
You have my answer. Thank you very much.
The Secret Service also wouldn't tell us how much the fence will cost.
So I'm not authorized to speak about that at this time, just to present.
Last week, D.C. Delegate Eleanor Holmes Norton introduced a bill to ban any permanent fences at Lafayette Square. But with Democrats in the minority, it's unlikely the bill would get enough support to pass. Amy Cho, News 4.
The FDA is investigating shredded lettuce supplied by Taylor Farms and sold to Taco Bell's as the potential source of the ongoing outbreak of cyclosporiasis. The foodborne illness has been very unpleasant with its symptoms that can linger for weeks. Nationwide, thousands of people have gotten sick. To reduce the risk of contracting the illness, the CDC recommends washing fresh produce under running water before eating. Fairfax County School Board is expected to take action on a new boundary map for the county's first new high school. The new boundary could move nearly 2,000 students from their current school pyramid into the new school. Now, the school board is holding a public hearing right now. News 4's Jackie Benson is there and will bring us an update right here on News 4 at 11. Dozens of fired federal workers rallied on Capitol Hill today to get their jobs back. A year ago, more than 1,300 employees were fired at the U.S. State Department. Before that, the U.S. Agency for International Development was dismantled, leaving about 16,000 people without jobs there. All of this part of the Trump administration's effort to downsize the federal workforce. The community will get to weigh in on President Trump's arch proposal. The National Park Service wants to hear additional public comment on the proposed arch within the George Washington Parkway. NPS opened an additional window to hear public comments until July 30th. Anyone who wishes to weigh in can do so through their website. Congressional Republicans have again called a local Democrat up to Capitol Hill to testify about policies that they say contradict the direction of the current administration. Today, the House Judiciary Committee questioned Arlington County's prosecutor in a closed-door deposition. The committee is chaired by Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, an outspoken supporter of the president. Our Northern Virginia Bureau reporter Drew Wilder was on the Hill today and has our story.
A prosecutor, alongside her own attorney, called to answer questions on Capitol Hill. Arlington County Commonwealth's attorney, Parisa Degani-Tofty, is complying with a subpoena from the House Judiciary Committee to be deposed behind closed doors after a war of words and accusations from committee chairman Jim Jordan. Degani-Tofty emerged from the deposition after about 4.5 hours, saying she was instructed not to discuss any of the proceedings. Were you told not to say anything about?
Yes.
By the chairman, by the committee?
By the committee.
In May, Chairman Jim Jordan sent Arlington's prosecutor a letter saying she, quote, appears to have weaponized your office to give preferential treatment to aliens based solely on their immigration status. While Arlington's prosecutor made no comment after the hearing, she did share her opening statements with News 4, in which she directly addressed that claim, saying every defendant is treated the same, regardless of their immigration status. Norfolk's Commonwealth's attorney was here in support of his colleague from Arlington.
She is here because of politics, because the House Republicans want to continue false narratives about crime, and they are doing it behind closed doors because they don't have the courage to do it in an open hearing.
And dozens of Arlingtonians staged a demonstration in the hallway demanding transparency.
We in Arlington are outraged by how our Commonwealth's attorney is being treated.
Jim Jordan has also been critical of an alleged misdemeanor case involving the White House Chief of Staff for Policy, Stephen Miller. Local activists spread flyers that shared Miller's Arlington County home address. But after an investigation, Degani Tofty found the activists hadn't broken any laws, and the case was dropped, which did not sit well with the president's loyalists on Capitol Hill.
What do we want? Transparency! When do we want it? Now!
Today, a protest pushed back against Jordan for choosing to focus the committee's time and energy on a local prosecutor.
Why isn't he demanding answers from the agencies that he's responsible for?
Congressman Don Beyer said this deposition was meant to send a politically charged message to local Democrats.
He's trying to set an example and basically warn elected officials that if they refuse to fall in line with the MAGA agenda, that Congress is going to come after them.
And so far they have.
Sir, he saw what you should have seen. He cited overwhelming evidence.
In May, the same committee held a hearing with Fairfax County's prosecutor and sheriff about immigration policies. Then in June, another House committee called Loudoun County superintendent to testify about transgender students. And here we are in July, and the Republican majority continues to apply pressure to local Democrats, but this time outside of the public's eye. Reporting on Capitol Hill, Drew Wilder, News 4.
Still ahead tonight on the News 4 Rundown, a new hope for people with high cholesterol. The new drug that the FDA says reduces cholesterol levels further than current drugs on the market. We'll be speaking live with a local doctor on what this means for overall heart disease prevention. And a recent Howard University graduate honored at the ESPYs for her dedication to community service. We'll introduce you to this change maker. And Doug's tracking that hot and hazy weather coming in.
Yeah, and tracking that wildfire smoke, Jim, that will work its way in overnight tonight into the day tomorrow. I'll show you how long it lasts and talk about the chance for severe weather coming up in a minute.
The FDA has approved a new daily pill called Lafayette that can lower cholesterol levels further than what can be achieved with current statins. Those are the widely prescribed medications already on the market. The drug from Merck will cost $10.50 a day or $315 for a 30-day supply. The drug maker says out-of-pocket cost will be lower. Joining us now live to dive into this new medication is Dr. Barbara Parsia. She is the director of the Women's Heart Health Program at MedStar Hospital. Now, Doctor, thanks for taking time with us. Tell us how this new medication compares with existing cholesterol-lowering treatments.
Thank you. Yes, Jim. So currently, this medication falls into a new class of drugs that we actually do have medications for, but right now they're injectable medications. And they're used as an add-on when we just can't get where we need to get to with the statins. I think it's estimated anywhere from 50 to 80% of patients actually can't get to their goal with just using a statin. So this gives us another medication, an oral form now, as opposed to an injectable form that I think patients will be much more compliant with in the future, and just opens up our armamentarium in terms of trying to get our patients to the goal, their goal cholesterol and overall reducing the risk of heart disease.
So Doctor, what does this approval mean for patients currently taking statins? Should they be talking to their doctors about shifting to this new medication?
Well, the trials that were done thus far, we're actually looking at it as an add-on to statins, and that's how it's mostly been recommended, even with the injectable forms. So we're looking mostly at that, or in patients who don't tolerate statins, of which there are a number out there. And as I mentioned, there are other oral medications. They're just not shown to be as strong as these PCSK9 inhibitors.
And we know some current statins do have side effects, as you mentioned. Are there any side effects with this drug?
Overall, it seems like very minimal. People who are on it seem to have the same type of side effects as people who didn't take it. There may be an increased risk for diarrhea and dizziness. I think that, but it was a very small group.
Very exciting to hear about all this. We appreciate you sharing your wisdom with us, Dr. Barbara Parsia. Thanks so much for taking time with us from
You're
Washington
welcome.
MedStar Health. We want to turn back to that heat and the haziness and The air quality is a concern for health for some tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be code red tomorrow for most of us. Areas like Hagerstown, Washington County, points to the west will be in a code purple. And that pretty much is like, okay, well, maybe stay indoors a little bit more. Yeah. But for those of us in code red tomorrow, as long as we stay code red, we can still do our normal activities. So you can still get out to the store. You can still walk the dog. You just make it maybe a quicker dog walk.
There you go.
And you don't want to go for a jog tomorrow. There you go, Jim. You have an excuse
not
to run tomorrow. So there you go. Out there right now, a mix of sun and clouds, and we still have some of that wildfire smoke around part of our area, and that's going to increase as we make our way through the night tonight. The clouds actually coming down. A little boundary from the north is trying to work its way to the south. Could actually produce a shower or two when it comes on through. Temperature right now, still 7 o'clock at night, 96 degrees. It feels like temperature of 103. At one time today, we were 108 for the feels like, and we're still on the hot side right now. Everybody's still in the 90s. 93 Martinsburg, 93 Manassas, 92 Culpeper, and 95 in Annapolis. But the heat index right now, still 103 in Annapolis, 109 in Waldorf. Huntingtown coming in right now, and Patuxent River at 104, and back toward the west, Dulles Airport coming in at 100 degrees. So still a very hot and very humid night. Now, that boundary I talked about is actually going to bring down some humidity later tonight, too. We don't see any showers just yet. We've got a couple back to the west. That's part of that boundary that's working through. That's back towards Garrett County. But as they move on through, the boundary moves on through, it will lower our humidity. It will lower temperature slightly, but it will also bring in the wildfire smoke, which today is up into areas like Toronto, up into New York, up into Philadelphia, and it's going to be working its way our way as we work our way through the night tonight. So let's talk a little bit more about that. Now, this is Pittsburgh right now. Yeah. That is Pittsburgh. These are the buildings in Pittsburgh. You can barely see them. I don't know if you can see them on your screen, but they are there. That is the current shot in Pittsburgh, where the air quality has been terrible all day today. And this is where it is. Areas like Pittsburgh and over towards Erie, Pennsylvania, over towards Detroit have had tremendously bad air quality, not just purple, but magenta. For us, we're going to see this work through tonight, and then into the day tomorrow, it's going to get fairly heavy. And by noon tomorrow, I mean, everybody's going to be seeing it. You may actually smell it during the day tomorrow. And some areas back to the west, areas like Pittsburgh, they actually had ash falling from the sky. I don't think we'll see that here, but that's how thick this smoke is going to be during the day tomorrow. So that's something to watch out for. Now, as we work our way into Saturday, we'll start to see it moving back to the north. It'll still be here at least a little bit early on, but then we'll see the chance for thunderstorms develop and increase later in the afternoon. That will get rid of the smoke. Now, today we got back down to moderate. We were orange for a while, but then we went to moderate areas like yellow. Now, red is unhealthy. That's where we'll be tomorrow. By Saturday, we're back to areas in the orange rather. So it does get better on Saturday. By the way, see that very unhealthy, that purple area? That's where you folks in Washington County, Hagerstown, may be tomorrow in areas off to the west. Now, as we move on through the night tonight, here's the boundary working its way on through. That should clear us out. Once again, tomorrow is a better day temperature-wise and humidity-wise, but it's going to be a lot worse as far as the heat index, or rather as far as the haze and as far as the smoke goes. Then on Saturday, 8 o'clock in the morning, we're fine. During the afternoon, though, look at the line of thunderstorms that develops during the day. Some of these will be strong to severe. They will blow through here with some very strong winds. They move out. Now look what happens. All of a sudden, tomorrow, as the cold front moves our way, we get some heavy rain in another round of storms on Saturday night. So Saturday may be a multiple round kind of a situation as far as the storms are concerned. 88 on Sunday, most of us dry, but a 30% chance of storms south of D.C. on Sunday. 87 degrees on Monday, Tuesday, another chance of storms next week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Temperatures back into the mid-80s, and actually most of next week looking pretty good. We'll be right back.
You can't be too young to make a difference, and Khalees Armstrong is the perfect example. The recent Howard University graduate was honored at the ESPYs last night for her dedication to community service. The track and field star received the Billie Jean King Youth Leadership Award. News 4's Dominic Moody has her story.
From leaping to the highest heights on the track to serving Washingtonians in her downtime,
when I got to Howard, I knew I wanted to be involved in something and like being in the DC community.
Khalees Armstrong got to work on the field and in the community when she arrived in the nation's capital, embarking on a unique journey. While balancing her academics, juggling the ebbs and flows of being a college athlete, she decided to add community service to the priority list.
Yeah, I see the disparities. I learned about the disparities in the classroom, and I was like, I want to help and make a difference.
She searched for opportunities to educate young people about community equity, health literacy, and creating after-school safe spaces. Both grassroots health and Run Your City align with her service goals.
We go to these middle schools and we're teaching about sexual, nutritional, and mental health through PE games. So, it's fun because we're playing games with the kids, but also being able to teach them, the fundamentals of health.
Armstrong soon found out she was inspiring fellow student athletes to seek out service projects. Sports icon Billie Jean King took notice of the track and field star's work off the field.
22-year-old Khalees Armstrong.
And last night during the ESPYs, Armstrong received the Billie Jean King Youth Leadership Award for using sports as a tool to give back, and talked about what it meant to meet a sports hero.
Receiving the honor, is just, a symbol for the work that I put in. But honestly, being able to meet someone as, moving as Billie Jean King has, really been impactful.
She leaves this message for those looking to carry on the selfless baton.
Just going and starting and see how you like it is honestly the best thing that you can do instead of thinking of the what if. So just go out and explore and see what, you're passionate about.
In the district, Dominique Moody, News 4.
Wow, what an inspiration. Congratulations. Armstrong, by the way, is preparing for graduate school at Columbia University in the fall. She hopes to pursue a career in public health and policy. There will be a star-studded lineup at the Mubadala D.C. Open later this month. News 4 spoke to the chairman of the annual tennis tournament.
We have an unbelievable player field again. We have 7 of the top 10 players in the world. On the women's side, we have Venus Williams and Naomi Osaka, Jess Pegula, Alina Svitolina, and just tons of fan favorites. On the men's side, we have Taylor Fritz and Ben Shelton, Francis Tiafoe, and that list just goes on and on. The thing about a tennis match is you don't go just for 1 2-hour game like most sports. You can be there all day, all night. You can be there for 6-7 hours. But if you do that, people want to have great food, great drinks, fun venues to go enjoy them in. And so we've really focused on this in recent years. I think it's a big part of the reason it's become so popular. So as you said, we have 7 Michelin star chefs, including Jose Andres and Patrick O'Connell. We have Masseria. We have the Dabney, the Ox. It's really amazing. But then we also have just some of DC's other favorite places like Duke's Groceries and Cava and Dolcezza and all kinds of other places that are not Michelin star, but sort of the best of every category. And so people now sometimes describe this tournament as a tennis tournament wrapped in a food and wine festival.
Mark Kine bringing in the big names and all the excitement once again this summer. The competition will run from July 25th through August 2nd at the Tennis Center in Rock Creek Park. Tickets are nearly sold out. Well, finally, this one is for the Commanders fans. You can soon rep the burgundy and gold on your license plate. DDOT is getting to work on a specialty plate for the team that will be similar to the Nats and Mystics license plates. It's important to note this rollout is for DC drivers. You can request the specialty plates from the DMV. The one-time $25 fee or the annual $20 fee will go to DC's Fund for Youth Sports and Activities. The D.C. Council is expected to sign off on the plates later this month, and you can expect to get your plates 3 to 6 months after that. Pretty cool. That's going to do it for us on the News 4 Rundown for this Thursday night. Be sure to join us right back here for News 4 at 11. For now, I'm Jim Handley. Have a great night and keep cool out there.